With the college basketball season at nearly the midpoint, and it now being a new year, many teams find themselves in the toilet. I'm looking at you, UND. Anyways, being in the toilet at the midpoint of the season isn't the end for some teams. Most, yes, but there's always some teams who climb out of that plumbing fixture and make something of their season. So today, I found 4 teams who had some of the greatest mid-season turnarounds in college basketball history. Our first team goes back to the 2010-2011 season, with that being the Michigan Wolverines. John Beilein was entering his 4th season as Michigan's head coach, where it had been up and down time. Freshmen Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jordan Morgan, with sophomore Darius Morris, highlighted Beilein's squad this 10-11 season, where the team had a decent non-conference. The Wolverines went 10-2 during this stretch, with their losses being to ranked Syracuse and a tough one versus UTEP. However, Tuesday, December 28th against Purdue, their driver's side front tire blew out, because from December 28th all the way to January 22nd, Michigan went 1-7 in Big Ten play and dropped down to a record of 11-9. Then when Wolverine fans thought it couldn't get any worse, Michigan had their rival Michigan State the very next game. I say this as Michigan hadn't beat MSU since 2007 and hadn't beat them in East Lansing in 14 years. Yet, this is where their midseason turnaround started. Michigan took an early halftime lead 33-27 behind 4 Zach Novak threes. The Wolverines stretched out their lead in the second half to 14 points with a 41-27 lead. Then Michigan State slowly but surely brought the game back to just a 2-point lead after a free throw. 25 seconds remaining and Stu Douglas iced the game with a 3-pointer, leading to a 61-57 victory for Michigan. Stu Douglas' shot is what turned the season around, and he became a name that many Michigan fans will always remember. Because the next game versus Iowa, Michigan won 87-73 and proceeded to go 5-3 in their final 8 Big Ten games, leading to a 19-12 record. With the Wolverines even sweeping the season series versus Michigan State the final regular season game, first time since the 96-97 season. Next up was the Big Ten tourney, where Michigan got the 4 seed and faced Illinois in the quarterfinals, where a huge 37-point second half led to the comeback win for Michigan 60-55. Now they had to face 1 seed Ohio State, where their tournament run ended with a 61-68 loss. Sitting at a record of 20-13 now, Michigan were locks for a March Madness appearance, and they got in as an 8th seed in the West region. Round of 64 was no problem for the Wolverines as they beat 9 seed Tennessee 71-45. Then 1 seed in the West, the Duke Blue Devils, were next. Michigan only saw themselves down 37-33 at half versus Duke. Fast forward to a minute 28 to go, and Michigan was only down 69-70 after a Hardaway Jr. 3. Duke wasted a lot of time all the way down to them finally scoring with 30 seconds left, making it a 72-69 game. Duke let Darius Morris take an easy layup with 10 seconds remaining. Michigan fouled, where Duke's Nolan Smith only made 1 of 2 free throws. After the miss, Darius Morris got the board and drove down to the floor to shoot a floater for the tie, but missed it off the back iron, where Michigan lost 73-71. For a team to go from an 11-9 record to almost knocking off the 1 seed in their region is pretty impressive if you ask me. Another Big Ten team comes as their second team on the list, and their situation was a little worse than Michigan's, I'd say. The Wisconsin Badgers of the 14-15 season were a team to reckon with. Big Ten regular season and conference champions, they defeated the undefeated platoon team of Kentucky and almost won a national championship versus Duke, a team led by Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker, Nigel Hayes, and Bronson Koenig. Well, after that 14-15 season, Wisconsin was basically left with Nigel Hayes and Bronson Koenig for the 15-16 season. Nevertheless, Wisconsin got a preseason ranking of 17th still, yet game 1 of the season versus Western Illinois was an embarrassment. In front of the home crowd, the Badgers lost this game 67-69, knocking them out of the rankings and leading to a bad string of games. Where in their next 10 games, Wisconsin went 6-4, which is okay, but some of the losses included one against Milwaukee and Georgetown and Marquette when both teams were kinda bad. Game 12 of the season was actually important though. Wisconsin beat Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. Now why was this game so important? Well, legendary head coach Bo Ryan decided to retire as head coach after this game and poor start to the season. So Wisconsin named the current head coach Greg Gard as the interim head coach at the time, and I think this is where the Badgers season turned around. Actually, I spoke too soon because Wisconsin did win their last non-conference game of the year versus Green Bay. However, starting conference play, these Badgers went 1-4. Then this is where the season turned around, and just like the previously mentioned 10-11 Michigan team, the turnaround came against Michigan State. The Badgers were 9-9 and had to welcome number 4 Michigan State to the Kohl Center. Wisconsin took a nice 41-36 halftime lead, but where they lost the lead 3 minutes into the second half, where it became a back and forth game all the way until 2 minutes to go, where MSU had a 76-72 lead. Michigan State would not score another point, and Wisconsin pulled off the upset 77-76. What followed this Michigan State game was a Big Ten conference run of 10-2, having a regular season record of 20-11, getting the 6th seed in the conference tourney. Sadly, Wisconsin was bounced their first game of the tourney, which meant it was now March Madness time, where the team got a 7 seed. Opening round versus 10 seed Pitt saw a low-scoring 47-43 Wisconsin win to move on to the round of 32 matchup versus 2 seed Xavier. This game was neck and neck all the way down to the 34-second mark. Xavier was up 63-60 at this point, but Wisconsin legend Bronson Koenig put the team on his back. Koenig hit a 3 with 13 seconds left to tie the game 63-63. Then after an Xavier turnover and Wisconsin timeout, Koenig hit a buzzer-beating 3 to win the game 66-63, an all-time classic. Then the magic ended in the Sweet 16 versus Notre Dame, where Wisconsin lost 61-57. A terrible second half stopped these Badgers from going to the Elite Eight. Who would have thought after their historic season before, with players leaving, their greatest coach leaving 12 games in, that this team almost went to the Elite Eight? Don't think many fans thought that would happen. The 21-22 season saw one ACC team do the unthinkable to win the conference tourney. Virginia Tech was coming off a pretty successful second season under head coach Mike Young, where even though it was a COVID-shortened season, Tech went 15-7 in 2020 and 2021, being ranked throughout most of the season while getting a March Madness bid. Most of the teams stayed intact for 21-22, yet the results varied at the start of the season. Granted, a 5-0 non-conference start was great, but their biggest win was over Navy. Then the season flipped 180. 3-7 was the Hokies' next 10 games, standing at an overall 8-7 record, as well as being 0-4 in ACC play. 2 back-to-back wins versus Notre Dame and NC State started a fire, then that fire was quickly put out by losing 3 straight, and Virginia Tech now sat at a 10-10 record on January 26th. The Hokies looked out of everything, then one of the greatest runs college basketball has seen started. Tech went 9-2 in their final 11 ACC games, ending with a 19-12 record and securing the 7th seed in the conference tourney. Now going 9-2 to end the season is a great run, but this run didn't stop in the regular season. Virginia Tech's first game of the conference tourney came against 10 seed Clemson, who beat Tech in the last regular season game. Virginia Tech had a 9-point lead with 4 minutes remaining, then Clemson had the lead with 36 seconds left. Tech hit a 3 to make it 66-64. Clemson responded with a 2, where Tech missed their game-winning attempt, meaning OT. Overtime was another back and forth the entire length, with Clemson ultimately being up 75-73 with 7 seconds left. One problem though, Darius Maddox hit a game-winning 3 to advance Virginia Tech to the quarterfinals. This matchup was Tech facing 2-seed Notre Dame, where Tech had a strong first half, leading 42-31. Notre Dame tried to climb back, but it wasn't enough, as Virginia Tech pulled off the upset 87-80. Semifinals versus 3-seed North Carolina was even more of a non-competitive game, as Virginia Tech pulled another upset, winning 72-59, helped UNC shot 15% from 3. All of these conference tourney wins meant Virginia Tech made the ACC championship against 1-seed Duke. This Duke team was actually stacked, with having Paolo Banchero, AJ Griffin, Wendell Moore, Mark Williams, and Jeremy Roach, so a tough task. Back when I tried sports betting, I remember I thought this line was way too low and Duke was easily going to cover, hence making me money. Well, let's just say I was totally wrong, because Virginia Tech as a 7 seed pulled off one last upset, beating Duke 82-67 to claim the ACC title. The title was Virginia Tech's first ACC title, and them being a 7 seed was the lowest seed to ever win the ACC tourney. Even with the ACC title under the team's belt and the historic run the Hokies were on, March Madness rolled around and the team only got an 11 seed, where it eventually led to the loss against 6 seed Texas opening round. For a team to beat the 1 seed, 2 seed, and 3 seed in the conference tourney is unheard of, and to claim your first title doing so is even better. So I'll remember this all-time run by Virginia Tech. Just 2 seasons later, the greatest sort of mid-season turnaround took place, leading to the greatest run in college basketball history. Another ACC team by the name of North Carolina State were coming into the 23-24 season with some decent expectations, finishing near the top of the ACC in preseason polls. Can't forget the team was led by two DJs, with that being guard DJ Horn and big man DJ Burns. Non-conference was okay for the team. I say okay because even though they finished with an 8-3 record, NC State beat one team out of a decent conference, with that being Vanderbilt. As for the ACC, this is where the team stunk it up. 9-11 was the conference record, and where NC State finished the regular season on a 4-game losing streak, leading to the team having a 17-14 total record. So that's why I said sort of mid-season turnaround, as it was March 9th that NC State started their turnaround. The great thing about the ACC conference tourney is that every single team gets to participate, be it the Wolfpack were a 10 seed, meaning they had to play first round. First round was against 15 seed Louisville, and the Wolfpack won a high-scoring 94-85 game. Next up was 7 seed Syracuse, where NC State blew them out of the water by nearly 20 points. Quarterfinals was the first big test for the team, as it was against 2 seed Duke. Turns out, NC State only trailed 3 times this entire game, with all 3 being in the first half, meaning the Wolfpack won 74-69. Semifinals followed with NC State seeing themselves beat down by 6 to Virginia with 44 seconds left. NC State's Casey Morsell made 3 free throws to make it 58-55. Virginia got possession, missed a 3-pointer. NC State timeout. NC State misses a 3, have to foul Virginia. Virginia misses free throw. NC State gets the rebound and makes a 3-pointer to get the game to overtime. NC State then ended up winning this game 73-65 behind DJ Burns and his 7 points in overtime. Championship versus North Carolina, and where I was sitting in Mustang Sally's in Deadwood, South Dakota for St. Patty's Day, I witnessed 10 seed North Carolina State upset their rivals in the title game. They became the only double-digit seed to win the tourney and won 5 games in 5 nights, getting the automatic bid into the tourney that they wouldn't have gotten unless they won. The committee wasn't too convinced about this turnaround and had NC State as an 11 seed in the South region. Round of 64 came against Texas Tech, where it was an easy Wolfpack 80-67 victory. NC State's closest game of all the March Madness actually came in the round of 32 against 14 seed Oakland. Jack Golke led Oakland to a second half comeback, which led to an overtime game where big man DJ Burns closed out a victory, scoring 6 of NC State's 13 overtime points in this 79-73 victory. Sweet 16 was another upset win over 2 seed Marquette 67-58, then a rematch versus Duke in the Elite 8. NC State could not be stopped and won again 76-64, meaning this team made the Final Four. The last time NC State made the Final Four was in 1983, and in '83 the Wolfpack won the title. Many fans had this thought in their head about what if NC State really did win. Sadly, Purdue ruined America's greatest Cinderella story as NC State lost 63-50, ending their magical season. Like I said before, a sort of mid-season turnaround for NC State in 23-24, but still one of the greatest runs of all time. Trying to find mid-season turnarounds was tough, but I feel like these 4 teams fit my video pretty well. It's always great to reminisce about how these teams looked dead in the water, but showed everyone once they got hot, no team could really stop them. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, the subscribe button, and hitting the bell notifications. Thank you.